Hey, what's up, Mortgage Coach community? Dave Savage, and today I am interviewing Andy Parsons. What's up, Andy?
How you doing, Dave?
Good,
Doing
man.
good.
So I am pumped. This is my first time interviewing you, but you are definitely a mortgage coach black belt with a little over 1,200. I think it's 1,216 total cost analysis.
It's a lot of time saved using those. Absolutely.
Oh, I like the way you said that. So I hope you caught that, everybody. You know, when I interviewed Jeremy Forcier, he said every 5 minutes in Mortgage Coach saves him 30 minutes of time. How would you see the time savings?
100%. The time that you would put into, before Mortgage Coach came around, the time I would spend typing a long-winded email with rate scenarios, payment breakdowns, APRs, everything, it was, yeah, sounds about right. About a half hour to 45 minutes versus 10 or 15 minutes on Mortgage Coach, putting something together that's shareable and more above and beyond just providing fees and programs. It enables me to give good advice.
Yeah, and then when Jeremy thinks of the time saving, it's also not having to re-answer the same questions and everybody involved being on the same sheet of music. So Andy, if you could tell us a little bit about your market, your mortgage practice, and your volume, and then we'll get into some big ideas and strategies.
Sure. I work for Envision Bank. We're based out of Stoughton, Mass. We cover New England. My territory is the South Shore of Boston, extending all the way down into Rhode Island. I live in Newport, so I'm working a couple of different markets there, but that tends to work out to help keep steady volume as certain areas are quieter at times of the year. So New England all the way through.
Love it. And what kind of volume are you doing in terms of family served, loans closed?
Last month I closed 23 loans, I've got 28 on the board for October. Dollar volume was 6.2 million for last month. I'm tracking towards 6.8 this month and just hoping to continue growing from there.
How many, what do you think you'll end the year 2019? How many families served and loans closed?
It was off to a slow start. We're really seasonal here in New England, so January and February are very much planning times, but I think I'll end up right around 55 to 60 million for the year.
And how many loans? Like 180 to 200?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yep.
Okay. So guys, definitely a 1% successful loan officer. And to me, more importantly than that, the way he serves those families with the total cost analysis, he's providing advice. The guy is a black belt in advice. I'm going to do this interview two ways. One, it's going to be mortgage strategies. And Andy, I don't know if you're in a place where you can share your screen and show a TCA. If you are, absolutely. I might have you do. Don't do it yet. Don't share it.
Okay.
But do be ready for that. But I want to talk about going from, kind of white belt in mortgage advice to black belt in advice, and what are some of the cornerstones of that? So, what when you think of really becoming a mortgage advisor and the value you get from Mortgage Coach, how do you describe that? Like, what's seriously a loan officer and mortgage advisor, and what does Mortgage Coach help you do that a fee worksheet or an email can't do?
Sure. So, it boils down to what we're doing every day is giving good advice. A well-qualified client can walk into any bank or mortgage company and get a decent deal. So it's not just the transaction at hand. It's showing them ways they can be as efficient as possible with their money, both over their short-term and long-term goals. So when you really consider all of that, Mortgage Coach is a solution that you can deliver that in a professional way, and it's shareable. Can be pulled up. You can watch when people are viewing that, and that's a good trigger point to follow up with them. So there's just so many advantages to using it. I tend to be kind of a late adopter on some of these technology tools, and this is one that I've just immersed in, and it's been a great experience for myself and the clients.
Cool. Well, I'm going to walk you through the difference between the mortgage transaction and the Mortgage Coach Advice Star. So, this is what most loan officers do. They provide the triangle transaction, which is payment, rate, and closing costs. And then, where you really go from being, a transactionally based loan officer is when you're delivering different levels of advice. So you're still doing rate, payment, closing costs, and cash to close, but you're doing cost over time. And then you're doing either a prepay strategy or a reinvestment strategy. So first of all, what percentage of your clients do you give the full star of advice? And how often do you do a prepay versus an invested difference?
Well, looking at that star, I'd say I really do hit all of them. It's just the timing that those are delivered. I think the prepay and prepayment strategies those are conversations after the closing on an annual review. But I do try to touch on all of those just because at the end of the day, giving them a full understanding not only of what the transaction looks like, but what this will do for their financial lives is that's what sets us apart. It really is.
Got it. No, what about this? So there's the, call it the financial strategy part. And I'm going to ask you in a minute to pull up a total cost analysis. But then there's these skills. Like when I think of a black belt, first of all, they had to have done over 300 total cost analysis. So you've done over 1,000. You've done the reps over time. You've gotten good at it. But then there's the moves. And we wouldn't be on this call if you hadn't done these moves. But video versus live, or adding an audio to it. Which of those moves do you do most often, and describe what you do and when you do it?
Okay, well, I'd say when you really look at what we're doing, we're trying to connect with our clients, period. No matter what type of product you're delivering. And for me, the live presentation is a way I can do that. It just opens up the conversation to more of a meaningful understanding of what their plan is now and in the long term. So if I do the live conversation, highlight certain areas and walk them through it extremely slowly. I mean, it's probably a 45-minute call when it's all said and done. But after that, they understand what's going to be coming. And, if it's a pre-approval that they're just getting out into the market to look, they'll know that when they find properties, they can text me an address and exactly what they'll get. So I'd say live is the option I've adopted.
Okay. And Mortgage Coach community, if you listen to this would be my third Black Belt Series interview. Number 2 was with Craig Strent. I don't know if you saw that one. You mentioned that you listened to a lot of them. That's also his favorite move is doing that live Mortgage Coach live conversation. Are you familiar with Craig, by the way?
You know what, to be honest with you, the names slip because I've seen so many of them. My ride to work, I would say, is R&D time. Duplicate and yeah, I guess I'm losing the acronym there, but I'll take bits and pieces from every one of them and find out what fits well with my personality, my plan, and it's just a fresh way to look at what we're doing. Love it.
So let's get ready to pull up a TCA, an actual total cost analysis, and see how you present. What I have here, everybody who's listening on this, and there's more. I mean, there are other sales situations that you get yourself into, but these are the most common sales situations that loan officers get into. And just make a note of this. If you want to be a black belt, 1, you've got to deliver the star to every family you've served. You need to have done it over 300 times. And you need to have a basic understanding of how to do it in every selling situation, whether that's a pre-approval, MI options, rep versus own, or on the refi side of things, a cash out or a debt consult. You may have one of these strategies you do most often, but you need to know how to do them all. You need to know how to do every move. Which one do you want to show a TCA on and talk about a little bit?
Well, let's see. I'll pull up 2 that I had in mind for today, and I don't know if either of these would fit into it. This first one is an annual review for a client. So and again, we're doing a lot of refinances right now. This particular one is a client that closed 4.5 years ago. Very rate sensitive. Yes. Real
quick, if you could click that little green box at the bottom and share your screen, that way we'll be able to see it when you show it. I'll tell you when I can see it.
Details. All right.
I know. Boom.
How's that?
Yep. There you go. So, we can see it.
So I don't know if this would fit into the black belt category, if you will, but this was just a good way to lay out how this would work for a refi, how it's worked for me. Existing client has a 4.375 rate. They annual review pretty much made it obvious that refinance and would lower their payment. But again, when they look at the life of loan interest, they were a little wishy-washy with that because their strategy wasn't necessarily to kick the can down the road and carry the debt for longer than they need to. I showed them the 15-year option. Now this increased their payment $473, and that didn't sit well just because down the line they are planning on buying other homes and they don't want to max out their debt ratio. So really, they ended up choosing the 3.5 option, and I then showed him this third one off to the right here as far as adding a principal reduction payment of their savings. This takes off 3.5 years off their mortgage and saves them nearly $50,000 in interest. It made it what would be a long back and forth into a really quick decision from these people. And this is just a strategy that I've been duplicating time and time again.
Yeah, and guys, so here's the move. If you could click on the more information under the transactional details real quick. Boom, and then click, there you go. Click on reinvestment. And guys, this is a black belt move where you notice he's showing the monthly savings. He's showing the savings over different windows of time. And then he's showing, hey, what if you prepaid your mortgage? And again, if the client was referred by a financial planner or, that was the tailored solution, he might do, well, hey, what if we reinvested this with your financial planner? Or, if whatever the strategy that suited that client, that's what he would do. So this is a great strategy. If you could close that out, and then if you can scroll to the top, I want to see how you brand yourself at the top of this. Because that's the other thing that a black belt does is you're building a personal brand. So every time you're delivering advice, you notice he's got his picture, he's got his company brand. He is building that experience that I'm an advisor. I'm not transactional loan officer. I am a mortgage advisor. Anything else you want to add on this strategy before we check out another one?
Yeah, this originally started off as a range of interest rates, which is also really helpful with this application because we all know there's a lower rate if you for those that are searching around online, and this is a way to put into context what the costs are buying that down versus other options, and really got ahead of the questions that would come up down the line once they started shopping around. So they decided on the 3.5. They didn't want to sink in too much in cost. So then we really got into more of other options, 15, 20, and 30. So just to help them zero in on what's best for them.
Love that. So if you could stop sharing your screen one more time, I want to show my screen while you get another TCA ready. So just click where it says stop sharing your screen real quick.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, stop share. Gotcha. There you go.
All right. And then get another TCA ready.
Okay.
I wanted to touch on this, guys. So the mortgage coach, star of advice, notice its options. Let's face it, when you provide a client with options, you're showing an uncommon level of transparency and you're helping them make an informed decision. And I'll guarantee you the 4 options that Andy put together, no other loan officer did that. No other loan officer said, hey, here's your 30 fixed, here's a 15. And oh, you know what? What if you did the 30-year and you prepaid the mortgage? Look at how much interest you save. So super important that there's options. And then omni-channel. That means you're giving the client the advice and the experience they wanted. So some people are on iPhones, some people are on Androids, some people are on desktops. And you know what? Some people want it printed up, omni-channel, anywhere, everywhere. You're delivering your advice in that model. So what's another TCA you'd like to share? And feel free to share your screen.
Okay, so this next one was an interesting puzzle, if you will. See, I get a lot of referrals from realtors as a go-to guy for unique scenarios, deals that may have a challenge that needs a solution. So this particular client was already working with 2 other institutions he was looking at for a VA loan. Now, the property that they went under agreement on was a historic home, beautiful home, but the seller was already expressing that they were willing to give a $50,000 concession towards repairing the roof. With VA, that's just not going to fly. So the challenge on this one is what is the best way to approach this, whether take a $50,000 reduction on the purchase price and then eat the cost of the roof out of their own funds, or possibly take it at asking price, which in this case was $595, and we were able to put together a solution where they just did a rehab loan. We would take that $50,000 credit, put it into escrow. It gives them 12 months to get the project done, and at the same token, it'll give them a longer window to watch rates before they ultimately lock into a 30 years. So this was a newer way that I use Mortgage Coach, but the way they came to me, they were getting 3.5 elsewhere through VA, and they were very sensitive on the money that they're going to use towards the closing and the repair, because they're going to have to liquidate some annuities, and there's tax consequences with that. So for the first option with VA, they could get into this property with $32,000 out of pocket, but $50,000 to cover a roof if it really does come out to be that much. This is a cedar shake roof, very old home, so it's going to need a full replacement. So we laid that out with the VA, because again, the rates are incredible on VA. I wanted to show them side by side what that looked like on a conventional loan, but still that left them with the challenge to repair this roof. So finally we went with the rehab option, and although that's going to be $74,000 out of pocket, it still is going to be less than it would be if they went with the VA option. And ultimately, when the work's done, if the roof costs less than that $50,000, we can use that as a principal reduction to the loan balance. And it just turned out to be a good solution. It won me the deal. Describing this in any other way would have been probably more confusing than anything if I was to type up an email to explain that. So this is just a nice way to lay out these options and talk through it and get a decision out of them.
Options and solutions. That's what local referral-based mortgage professionals need to do, and they need to communicate them in a modern way. Beautiful job, man. If you could stop sharing your screen, do me the favor and please forward links to those. I want to show another educational resource for Mortgage Coach, and Andy, I'm not sure you're even aware of this. It's not new, but I just think we haven't promoted it as effectively as we could. But we want every loan officer in the Mortgage Coach community to be a black belt in mortgage advice. So we have this mortgage strategy page. You could go there by just typing in mortgagecoach.com/strategies. And you could also go to lender services on our website and click on Mortgage Coach strategies. But, I do interviews like this all the time. And this will go in both our mortgage strategy playlist and our black belt, Mortgage Coach black belt playlist. But we also are picking some of our, I don't want to call them our best, but we're highlighting specific strategies that we think you need to know to be a black belt. And then we're making it simple for you to learn. So each one of these, it's, got the name of the loan officer, it's got the strategy. If you were to click on that, it will have a link to a video that you'll get scripts and sales strategies from. And it will also have a link to the actual total cost analysis. So you can learn what to do. So want to make sure you're familiar with that. So Andy, as we wrap up this call, I always like to get a script. Like when you're talking to a client and you're getting ready to give them a total cost analysis, first of all, what do you call it? And how do you position it so that when they get it, they're like, oh, I'm excited about this.
Yeah, well, it's just that first conversation is just simply to find out the why. Why are you interested in buying a home now? Tell me about your situation, or perhaps what are your goals here, out of pocket and for a target monthly payment. Try to lay out that I want to set up scenarios that fit your situation more so than what you may qualify for. And what I do is I invite them to submit an application with us, and I let them know that once that's reviewed, I'll come back to them with a side-by-side comparison of what I feel that are 3 or 4 options that align well with their goals. And then we set up a live meeting, go through each and every one of them.
Cool. And then what are some of your black belt questions that you ask a borrower that helps you position a total cost analysis? What are some of your, don't walk us through every transactional question, but what are a couple of your favorite questions that you ask that kind of pull up, give you an opportunity to show value?
Well, I first just ask them, have they began looking, am I their first conversation, or have they been looking around at options? What are they finding out there, and what are they finding that is the most aggravating aspect of the process of getting approved for a loan and buying a home? And it really comes, there's such a absence of information in terms of, well, I don't know, 350 versus 450, or I didn't realize I could put 3% down. You try to get the issues out of the client first, so then I can come back with answers to each and every one of them. I don't know if I would consider that a black belt, or just more or less hearing what the customer wants and then delivering it. It really is. It's a simple business. I try to do my best not to overcomplicate it, and also be realistic.
Well, I know one thing, just hearing you talk, you're always clear on what the client's goals are. And then you're always clear on, how do I provide solutions that are mortgage options that solve their problems and achieve their goals? I mean, and it really is that simple, everybody. A question that I recommend is asking people, how old do you want to be when your home's paid off?
Sure,
and then
absolutely.
How old are you going to be? Because that helps you when you do show that prepay strategy or that reinvest strategy. It helps you show how you're going to help them become debt-free faster.
You're almost getting them the info that they're asking for before they even ask.
Exactly. And then one last question, and we'll wrap this up. You said you're doing annual reviews. How often are you doing that? Any thoughts, or and what kind of results are you getting from the annual reviews that you're doing?
Well, the annual reviews, the conversion off of that is awesome. Now, if I was to call you and the rates aren't in line with to beat what you can do, you can at least identify some life changes that have happened. You may need an equity line to do a renovation, or you may be interested in understanding how quickly you can prepay and what's involved. But those conversations, you get off the phone, and then that client goes back to work, and they're your next cheerleader. They're talking about you. They're excited about just the fact that we are managing their mortgage in a way that is a lot more than just closing and sending them good birthday wishes each year. This is useful info, and people's situation changes every year. So even ones that you may not think are an opportunity from a rate perspective, seeing a lot of downsizing, and that's just a lead you can return to your realtor and just add value on that end. So
I love it. I love it, my friend.
This
has been a fantastic interview, guys. Make sure you are following our YouTube channel. Make sure that you are part of our Facebook group. And my friend, thank you for being a leader at your company, in your community. Anybody that's done over 1,000 total cost analysis, I am grateful for your leadership. And I know every family that gets your advice is too. So thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Dave.
Take care, everybody. See you later, man.
You too. Good night.